I probably titled this video something like installing a secret unlock switch, but really there's nothing that secretive about it. As a start, it wasn't a very good idea to post a video of it for everybody on the internet to see, to keep a secret, but I'm tired of this, so we're gonna be fixing this today. As far as leaving the garage here, that's never really much of a challenge. However, getting inside, I have basically one of 4 options. My most popular one being scanning the fob, opening the door. And if for some reason I didn't like that, I can use a key. However, both of those options get quite irritating if I'm constantly running back and forth, in and out of this building to have to either insert a key or scan a fob each time, and getting these out of my pocket gets more annoying than you might think if you're running in and out. Because of this door closure right here, I can't exactly just leave the door open. When I said I had 4 options, my third option to using a key or a fob is to prop the door open. However, then I'm losing all my heat, or in the summer, losing all my air conditioning. The fourth option is to unlock the door using this computer. Because the computer has an internet connection as well as the access controller, I'm able to log into the access controller on the computer and toggle my door to be kept open. The thing is, logging into the computer and logging into the access controller, selecting the door, selecting it to stay open, then having to do all of that once again to relock it is about just as inconvenient as just getting my keys out of my pocket 100 times a day while I'm going in and out. What would be ideal is to have this guy stay unlocked whenever I want, just like the computer does, without having to go through the hassle of the computer. So that's what we're going to be doing today. Now back to my title about this being secret. Now yes, it's not secret. However, the title of electronically dogging a door open is not as catchy, and many would probably not understand what the heck I'm even talking about. So, with panic bars like this one, many of them have an option known as dogging, where you will dog the door open. Basically, how that usually works is you push the panic hardware in, and oftentimes they have a hole in them where you can turn a Allen key. Like this one here, this is a larger one. Most of the Von Duprin panic hardware take a, I believe, 5/32 Allen key. And then once the door is dogged, this will maintain its pressed in position, therefore it will always be able to be opened from the outside without key, or in this case, using the electronic access control to actually unlock that latch. Oftentimes they don't use an Allen key, but will actually take the building's key or a dedicated key for dogging the panic hardware, where you will once again press it in, insert the key in the cylinder, turn it, and that will maintain it locked in. This particular panic hardware I have installed doesn't have that dogging option. Regardless of it having that option or not, I think the solution we're going to be doing today is going to be even more fast and convenient than that dogging option, where it's mechanically done through the panic hardware, as we're not going to be touching the panic hardware, but actually the access control. So my plan is to somewhere over here install a switch that can unlock the door. That will be done through the access controller. I take the door off so we can easily demonstrate. This is a 4-door controller. One of them is doing the front entrance, and our second door is this one here, where once again we have a RFID scanner and it will open our electronic latch. This is known as a electronic strike plate. This one is meant for your standard door hardware like this one. And this one here is meant for what's known as a rim latch panic hardware device. However, they both do the same thing with electronically unlatching, basically giving me the best of both worlds, where I'm using electronic device to unlock, however using a mechanical device to egress. As you can see, the egress uses nothing to do with the electronic portion. That's the same with this one here. Now that's good because in the event of the access control failing, or a power loss, or a cut in the power supply, this will lock secure. making this more secure than a fail-safe solution. Now, usually the downside would be safety. However, it's not here because we still have a mechanical means of egress bypassing that. Back to the controller, each one of the doors has these two terminals right here. Those are meant to be a request to exit terminal where you would use a push button where once pressed it would unlock the door. I'm going to demonstrate that here where I believe door 2 is the one to this room. If I jumper out these two terminals here. Do you hear that? It unlocks the door. Instead of using this jumper here, I'm going to install a toggle switch so that when I want the door to be unlocked, I can simply toggle this toggle switch and the door will stay open so I can come in and out without having to scan a fob each time. This 1110 box I have mounted here is where all the access control, communication, and power comes to this door from the ceiling. This is all ran with a Cat5 cable, so this has communication to the RFID reader as well as the 12 volts power, which unlocks the electronic strike plate. So we're going to mount that switch on this box here, as that's a pretty convenient place to mount it. And I believe we have spare conductors. So I'm going to start by opening up this box here and figuring out just where we're going to mount this switch. Now, taking a look inside this box, I'm going to pull this guy out here. You can see all these crimped bits. I believe it's 5 wires communication. Yeah, it's 5 wires communication for the RFID reader, and then we have 2 conductors for power. So the issue I'm running into here is because we've got 5 wires communication, 2 power, and the Cat5 cable has 8 wires, that means we're only left with 1 conductor. However, I'm going to see if we can do something to get around that. Looking at this here, one of the wires going to our reader is ground. That's our blue wire. And we also have P1 and ground on the request to exit button. So my idea is to double up on the ground and use that blue ground as also the ground for our request to exit button. I say before we start taking everything apart and getting all prepared for this, we do a test. So we know the blue is supposed to be the ground. So I'm going to open up this crimp here, if I can. There we go, that crimp's open. And we're gonna use our orange-white as our request to exit, or our unlock button. So I've twisted that blue that is the ground together with the orange-white that we're going to use as our open button. And at the other end here, I've got this orange-white stripped. I cut it off apparently when I did the install instead of leaving it long, which I am now regretting doing. But I'm going to see, with those twisted together, basically acting as our request to exit button being pushed, if I put this to our P1 on that button, or which would be our request to open button, will that open it? I don't have the ground jumpered over, but I'm wondering if it's, I'm going to first try it without, seeing if it's internally jumped over in the board, as it may be. So I'm going to put a clip on there. Remember, we already have it set on the other end. Not sure if I can get in there. I'm going to put this guy on here like this, and then see if that works. Oh, it did too. Perfect. So that means that these grounds are internally connected together, same thing, which is why I tried that first, as oftentimes that's how it is. You don't actually need to jumper it over. So that blue being the ground connected to this guy on the other end, will act as our open button. So basically all it's looking for is for P1 to be connected to ground, and that tells the system that a exit is being requested. So I need a small piece of wire to extend that, so I'm just going to strip a bit of Cat6. What I'm doing here is just getting my piece of orange white out, since that's the color that matches. So that's the one that I want to use for it to make the most sense. Of course, with the Cat6 it is really wound tightly. Don't really need to strip it with these crimps that I'm going to use because they have little teeth inside, but there we go. So now over at this end, I'm just extending this guy here, which I unfortunately, like I said, cut when I ran this cable in here. But I'm going to press this crimp on, then I will crimp it down. Okay, that's crimped, and now this guy can go down here. Which I guess we still have that connected together at the other end, but well. You can actually see on the board here that door 1 open button or light is illuminated. So that's basically all we need to do in here. That was pretty easy. So I'm going to put the cover back on here since we're done in this now. It's not very fun working in that. This is better over here, but as you can see, that's got the door staying open now. So I'm going to disconnect this. There you go. Locked. Open. Locked. So that's all good. So now let's actually install our switch. Switch I actually bought as a toggle to test the generator. That's still something I got to get around to fixing, because you guys don't like it when I pull the fuse each time. But we've got a switch and we've got our crimps. These also have this whole waterproofy thing, but I don't need that. The reason I didn't put this on the generator transfer switch is it wouldn't fit. So the first thing I'm going to do is put on these crimps. So as we're using the blue as our ground, this needs to stay connected together instead of making a pigtail. There's not really any point of that. So I'm going to put them both under one of the crimps that's going to go onto one side of our toggle switch. Okay, yeah, that's solid on there. And then the other side, of course, goes onto our orange-white. Okay, so that's good. So now if these are touched together, that opens the door. So hopefully this is set up as a normally open switch. Okay, so now let's actually figure out how we're going to mount this switch. Now, of course, I could just put it right on the front of this, sticking out, but I'd kind of like it to be on the bottom, a little bit less easy to accidentally bump. So I think we should put it right in this bottom knockout there. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to start with this bit here. I don't know what big it is. I don't know how big it is. And then I'm going to switch to a step bit. So what I'm going to do here is just put this right in the center of this knockout. And I'm going to also hold that knockout down so I don't push it out. Then what I'm going to do is switch to this step bit here, and I'm going to take off the two lock nuts, or the one lock nut on this guy, the other one's supposed to stay on, and get a hole large enough for this guy here. I think we'll have to go one bigger than that. Alright, we'll see if that fits. Yes, it does, so that's good. Okay, so now, well, first of all, I'm going to actually do up the terminals on this guy. Hopefully you guys can see this. I'm not sure if it's going to be in focus or if my fat hands are going to be in the way. But there's the one side, and we need that orange white on the other side. Okay, so that's currently locked. I think I would like to have locked with the switch pushed in and unlocked with the switch pressed out, as it's easier to push it in, I would think, than pulling it out, because you got to get your fingers pretty close in there. Mind you, I'm not sure if it's going to fit with that ground screw in there, so you know what, let's take it out. And if it still doesn't fit, then we'll just turn it sideways. Now that should fit. So then we've got our washer and our other lock nut, but this guy needs to go closer. Okay, so that's locked. Oh, I see the issue. This guy broke off. Okay, door is open. I got them all spliced back together. Door is now locked. Door open. Door locked. Okay, so I think that's all good. So now I'm just going to tuck everything back in here. You're doing an absolutely beautiful job of that too. Oh yeah, there we go. Put our lid back on. Okay, this is good. This is definitely by no means a secret button, but it actually is somewhat hidden. It's not the most obvious thing. But door is locked. If I leave it like that, the only way to get in, as you see, locked, so only way to get in is either use key or open it like that. However, if I'm in here and want to be working on something outside or running in and out, flip that forward and I will no longer need to scan the fob, as that just stays open. I'm sure this seems like a really little thing, and I guess it kind of is, but little thing like this just makes life surprisingly a lot more convenient. I know it sounds like I'm just being really complainy about having to unlock the door each time I come in and out, but with it closing behind you and locking, having to get keys, sometimes your hands are dirty, you don't want to be sticking them in your pockets. It's really, really nice to just have it unlocked and not have to log into the computer each time. And once I want to lock again, no need to log in, just flip the switch on the way out, lock it when you're done with it. A lot more convenient and just a little thing that's really nice to have. So that's going to be it for this one. If you guys did enjoy this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up. If you have any comments or questions, suggestions, make sure to leave those down in the comment section down below. And if you do enjoy the channel, make sure to subscribe. Also, if you are interested, I do have an Instagram account at Pickle700 for bonus content and stuff posted earlier than you'd see it on the YouTube channel, that sort of thing. Alrighty guys, thanks for watching.